Attention passionate LAS, Vegas Raiders fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the AFC West and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Las Vegas Raiders' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Las Vegas Raiders fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and LAS, Vegas Raiders FANS. Let's get to the news alright, folks. Let's dive into what's happening with the Raiders right now, because there's a lot to unpack and it's definitely exciting for the fan base. The Las Vegas Raiders, a franchise with a rich history and a passionate fan base, have been navigating through some tough years recently. But as always, hope is on the horizon, especially with some strategic moves that could reshape their future. And no, I'm not just talking about draft picks or signings, I'm talking about the very core of what makes a team successful, the quarterback position. You see, for years, the Raiders have struggled to find a consistent answer under center. It's the most critical spot on the field, the engine that drives the entire team. Without stability at quarterback, you're fighting an uphill battle every single season. We saw it last year, the ups and downs, the injuries, the inconsistency. And that's why this offseason, the Raiders made a move that could be a game changer. They added Geno Smith, a proven and credible quarterback who, while not a superstar, brings stability and experience. And for Raiders fans, this is huge. It's the kind of move that signals the team's serious intent to compete now, not just future planning. Now, Geno Smith isn't a flashy signing like some big-name free agents, but let's be honest, he's exactly what the Raiders needed in the short term. After the chaos of the last few seasons, having someone who can step in and run the offense confidently is a breath of fresh air. Smith's career has been a roller coaster. He's faced skepticism, injuries, and doubts, but last year with the Seahawks, he showed that he could lead a team effectively. He threw for over 4,000 yards, racking up 30 touchdowns and just 11 interceptions, and more importantly, he displayed leadership and poise, qualities that the Raiders desperately need. But what about the quarterback room beyond Geno Smith? Well, that's where things get really interesting. The Raiders' draft board was quite strategic this year. They didn't jump into the quarterback market early. In fact, their first pick wasn't until the 6th round, at the number 215 overall, when they selected Cam Miller from North Dakota State. Miller, a 6th-round rookie, isn't a household name, but he's a player with potential. Coming from the FCS level, he has some development to do, but his arm talent and athleticism have caught the eye of scouts. The question is, what's his role going forward? As of now, the backup quarterback position is likely to be a battle. Aidan O'Connell, who's been with the Raiders for a couple of seasons now, has been considered a potential trade candidate. That's not surprising given the current landscape. O'Connell has shown flashes of promise, and he's a guy who's earned respect in the locker room. But with the addition of Geno Smith, the Raiders might see O'Connell as expendable, especially if they're looking for a more experienced backup or even a future starter. And here's where things get even more intriguing. Many analysts and fans have speculated that O'Connell could be traded or even released before the season begins. After all, he's a guy who has yet to firmly establish himself as the long-term answer, and the Raiders might prefer to develop Miller quietly in the background. But hold on, there's a lot more nuance here. O'Connell, at just 26 years old, still has some value as a backup, especially in a league where injuries are common, and having a reliable second option is critical. I want you to pause here for a second. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Las Vegas Raiders news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. Because let's be real, the NFL is a business, and every decision made at quarterback level has ripple effects across the entire franchise. Now some fans might be wondering, what about Miller? Could he actually challenge O'Connell? Well, that's a good question. But realistically, it's unlikely that a rookie from North Dakota State is going to overtake a more seasoned player like O'Connell this season. It's more probable that Miller remains a developmental project, someone who needs time to grow, understand the NFL game, and get stronger physically and mentally. Still, the Raiders are known for their patience and their willingness to develop talent. But here's the real kicker. If Geno Smith were to suffer an injury, the Raiders would need someone with NFL experience to step in immediately. That's where O'Connell's value becomes apparent. While the Raiders could consider bringing in a veteran backup if they decide O'Connell isn't the guy, it's more likely they'll keep him around, at least for this season. His experience, although limited, is still an asset, especially in a league where injuries happen all the time. And speaking of veterans, there's been some buzz around the league about potential veteran cut candidates, especially at the cornerback position. One name that's been floating around is Jaire Alexander from the Green Bay Packers. When he was released, many speculated that he could become a target for teams looking to bolster their secondary. The Raiders, having struggled at cornerback in recent years, could benefit from a player of Alexander's caliber if they decide to make a move. However, the core focus remains on the quarterback room. The addition of Geno Smith might be the spark the Raiders needed to finally stabilize that position. But it's not just about one player, it's about the entire team building around him. The Raiders have a talented roster, with stars like Max Crosby leading the defensive front and Davante Adams continuing to be one of the best wide receivers in the league. The offensive line has seen some improvements, and the coaching staff, under head coach Josh McDaniels, is looking to implement an offensive scheme that maximizes their weapons. Now, let's take a quick look at the bigger picture. The AFC West has become arguably the most competitive division in the NFL. The Kansas City Chiefs, led by Patrick Mahomes, remain the team to beat, but the Denver Broncos and Los Angeles Chargers have also made significant moves to elevate their rosters. The Raiders, historically competitive, are now positioning themselves to not just compete but to contend seriously. The addition of Geno Smith, combined with their draft strategy and roster improvements, signals that they are aiming to be a playoff team once again. But what about next season? The outlook is promising but also uncertain. The Raiders' success will depend heavily on the health of their key players, the development of their younger talent, and how well their new additions gel together. If Geno Smith can replicate or even improve upon his recent performance, and if the coaching staff can harness the potential of young players like Miller and develop O'Connell as a reliable backup, they could surprise many NFL observers. And let's not forget the Raiders' rich history of resilience and their passionate fan base that travels in droves to Allegiant Stadium, creating one of the most intimidating atmospheres in the league. Energy in Las Vegas is palpable, and every game is a spectacle. The team's management is aware that they're playing in a city that demands excellence, and they're doing their best to meet those expectations. Looking at the bigger picture, the NFL landscape is constantly changing, and the Raiders are no strangers to adapting quickly. The addition of Geno Smith could be a turning point, giving them the stability they've lacked for years at quarterback. Of course, there are still questions. Will they add more veterans? How will their rookies develop? Can their coaching staff get the most out of this talented roster? But all signs point towards a team that's serious about competing, and that's something every Raiders fan should be excited about. Now, I want to emphasize that the NFL is a league where every move counts, and sometimes the smallest decision can have the biggest impact. The Raiders have positioned themselves in a way that they can be flexible to either develop their young quarterbacks or bring in veteran help if needed. That kind of strategic planning is what could push them over the edge this year. Imagine a scenario where Geno Smith stays healthy and leads the team into the playoffs. That's a real possibility, and it's what fans should be hoping for as the season approaches. And I know many of you are eager to see how this all plays out, the battles in training camp, the preseason performances, and ultimately, how the team performs in the regular season. The NFL is unpredictable, but the Raiders have given us some promising signs that they're ready to make a statement. The division is tough, but with a solid quarterback and a motivated roster, they could be the dark horse that surprises everyone. So, as we look ahead, keep an eye on the quarterback room because that's where a lot of the story will unfold. Will Geno Smith be the steady hand the Raiders need? Will O'Connell find a role as a reliable backup or even push for more? And what about Miller? Could he develop into a future starter? These are questions that only time will answer, but one thing is for sure, the excitement is building, and the Raiders are in a position to turn things around. And now, Las Vegas Raiders fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Raiders. Do you believe Geno Smith is the answer? Are you confident in the quarterback room? Or do you think they should have made more moves? Whatever your thoughts, let us know. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Las Vegas Raiders news. This team is on the rise, and it's an exciting time to be a Raiders fan. Thanks for tuning in, and let's keep the passion alive.